Hello, and welcome to the Underpaid Gamers Podcast. My name is Tony. I'm with my friend and colleague, Justin.
What's up?
There he is. Today we have some news for you. We're going to be talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. We're going to be talking about the new X-Men, Logan, Wolverine, Hubert Jackman trailer. All those things. Mm-hmm. There's a voice actor strike going on for video games that you didn't know about.
I didn't know until I walked in this room.
There's a lot going on there. And then also, of course, the Nintendo Switch, which will be our title topic.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Theme song. Hola,
amigos.
The Underpaid Gamers Podcast is officially a podcast. We have a YouTube and an email and a Twitter.
And a website.
Mm-hmm. You can tweet at us at UPGamersPodcast. You can email us at underpaidgamerspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube as Underpaid Gamers. Yeah. There's two of them. We are the official one. The other ones are from New Zealand, and they haven't posted anything in like 5 years.
More than that even.
So good luck finding them.
Yeah, so subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll find some fun stuff there, in addition to the podcast.
Our podcast is on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play. Mm-hmm. I assume you're listening to one of those.
Yep.
Not you. Them.
Well, I do.
Okay.
Sometimes. I listen to our old episodes, and I laugh at ourselves.
That's good.
Yep. So
that's what's going on.
What's the first thing we want to talk about today?
Some news that came way out of left field for me. It's about Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2?
Yes. Already slated for 2017 release.
Okay.
Tim Miller has resigned his position as director.
Wow.
And creative head.
What?
So, you've seen Deadpool 1.
I have.
Most people have.
Yeah.
Do you know who Tim Miller is?
Other than what you just said?
All right. So Tim Miller was the director of Deadpool 1.
Exactly.
He was also the bartender in the movie. So, Wade Wilson's best friend.
I remember him.
And some of the best comedy was improv between those two.
Yeah, both those guys together.
So they work together really well. However, he has said that he's leaving Deadpool 2 because of creative differences with Ryan Reynolds.
Interesting.
So that could mean literally anything.
That could be they are annoyed at each other. He doesn't like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, but that could mean anything for the movie. And I almost think I don't know what to think so everyone always gives Ryan Reynolds credit for making Deadpool 1 so good. Mm-hmm. Like he was such a good actor. He was so funny in it. But I mean, the director has a lot.
He's like the brains behind the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to have good talent, but you also need to have a good, compelling story. It needs to be directed well.
Yeah.
Or else it's gonna flop.
Yep. So that's a big blow to Deadpool. I think we've had one bad Deadpool movie, and we've had one good Deadpool movie, and this will be the tiebreaker. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to.
But people are expecting a lot from Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I know.
And I think it's coming out in 2017. Maybe it's 2018. Either way, there's not a lot of time left. It has to be 2018. It can't be 2017.
Right, that would be too.
I gotta look it up. I gotta know.
Oh no! You have a link there.
Do I?
Yeah, you have a link on Deadpool.
Look at me. I'm already ahead of the game.
Yeah. Let's see what you got. Deadpool 2 officially
2018. January 2018. Yep. Okay, so there's still a year and some change. Mm-hmm. But leaving a director is just huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when we talked about video games losing heads of directors and producers and things halfway through the development. It's the same sort of thing with the movie to some extent. I feel like
I think it's bigger for movies.
It has to be continuity between creative vision.
Yeah,
right?
That is also, but then also just the way that Ryan Reynolds and Tim Miller played off of each other.
Yeah, we're gonna miss that.
Yes, and he's also not gonna be there. He was his best friend in the first movie, and now he's.
Are they gonna replace him with a new actor, or are they just gonna not have him in the movie?
They're probably. I don't know. He's a comic book character.
Yeah.
So we'll see what
happens. Keep with him. Yeah, we'll wait and see.
I don't know. They'll just replace him with somebody else.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We'll see what happens.
Maybe that's what Hugh Jackman will do now.
Yeah, we'll keep you guys updated as we learn more information about that moving forward.
Maybe. Speaking of Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
You saw that Logan trailer, didn't you?
Hugh Jackman. Yep.
Huge Ackman.
Huge Pac-Man.
Anyway. Wow, that trailer.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this trailer yet, you should just Google search it. It's a minute and a half. Watch it.
Some good music. Johnny Cash?
Yeah, Johnny Cash. I like the music choice.
Yes. How do you feel about the way he looks as an old man?
I think he doesn't look old enough.
Really?
I don't know. I've never read Old Man Logan, but I kind of imagine that he would look older. I like that he's like scarred in things, but that kind of doesn't make sense because he like heals. So I don't know like to what extent. Like I kind of assumed from previous X-Men movies that Wolverine just like never aged and he's immortal.
Okay, and so maybe Wolverine, as he gets older, and in his older age, he loses his healing abilities.
It becomes less.
Yes, it becomes less sturdy, and also they mentioned in the trailer that all the X-Men are died, or all the mutants have been killed.
Yeah.
Professor X is losing his cognitive ability.
Really?
So I mean, this is they said it was 2048, I think. Wow. It's either 2048 or 2028 or something like that. I think it's 48.
Yeah,
it's years in the future.
Okay,
but. Yes, that's why he has scars, and that's why he's all torn up, is because he doesn't have his healing factor anymore. Gotcha. To an extent.
Right.
Which also brings in a lot of... he still has his claws, but he doesn't... Like, he can't...
regenerate as fast.
He can't... He's afraid to use them, and he really shouldn't use them because of infection.
Yeah.
Because of disease. Because clearly... those are going to go through his fingers, his hands, he can feel that. He feels it all the time anyway, right? That's why he's so tough, because he's just hurting himself all the time.
Right.
But he can't heal himself. Like, he can't fight off disease, because he doesn't have the healing factor.
Yeah.
There will be open wounds in his hands all the time. Not to mention, he's literally cutting through people and through things.
Right.
And then all that goes right back to his skin.
Bloodborne pathogens. Crap. That's scary.
So that's a big factor, and... I guess that's a good question for you to have, and that's probably a question a lot of people have, is why does he have all these scars? It's just because he doesn't have that healing ability so much anymore. So that's a big part of it. And then the girl in the trailer is X-23 or something like that.
Yeah.
And she was born from the blood that was taken from him and X-Men Apocalypse and blah, 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 blah.
Right. Which was the end scene.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then there's a mutant. There's two mutants shown in the trailer. There's the one guy with the robot hand. Eventually, in the comics, he becomes like 100% robotic except for like a human brain.
Nice.
Obviously, that has not happened yet. He only has a hand. And two, there's the guy from X-Men Apocalypse, I believe. Mystique goes down to find this. Essentially, it's a mutant that can find other mutants.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy.
So he is like bald and albino. He's in the trailer, so he'll be part of it too. Again, the trailer opens up with Professor X asking Logan, what has he done? He said, what have you done, Logan? I believe that is reference to him killing, well, I want to believe that's reference to him killing all the mutants, all the X-Men, because in the comic book, Logan does that because he's misguided. I would love to have that happen.
We'll see, though. I don't know if they would do that on maybe, would they?
Not that Logan doesn't already have a horrible enough life, but give him some more.
Yeah, so the general feel of the movie is like kind of like westerny to some extent, like with the music in it and everything was like in the desert and things, like it was almost like an old ghost town they were living in, like a water tower that's been pushed over. It feels interesting because it's a different take, I think, on like not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but like this is the end of the people that we've watched for these decades of X-Men movies, right? Like I love that Patrick Stewart is in this because I was a little bit sad. I kind of understood why they brought in the new one with like First Class, and they went kind of previously to the old ones, and they have like a new actor for Professor X. But I really like Patrick Stewart for a lot of reasons as Professor X, and so it's nice to see him in it again. Mostly Star Trek, but mostly Star Trek. I'm trying to think of what else, but it was like
that's it.
Professor X and Star Trek, and those are the two reasons I like Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him in there, and I think he looks cool with like, he just looks disheveled. That's like not Professor X. Like you can tell that they've been through a lot of crap, and it's like it's kind of exciting to think of like, man, what has happened to all this stuff. But at the same time, it doesn't really make me excited because there have been so many Wolverine movies.
Yeah, it's like,
and I'm like...
They're always like, Wolverine's the most popular X-Men. I was like, I don't care about Wolverine.
Like, I like Wolverine.
And it's cool.
Generally. He's a good character. But we've seen him have X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was terrible. Which is why I was confused, because in that one, he like goes through all these world wars and crap, and he's fine. And so now all of a sudden he's aging. Like, that's what's confusing to me in terms of like the timeline.
I don't know, something might have happened or...
Yeah, I mean, there could be something causing it to happen, but that's why it's just a question I have.
But in the Old Man Logan comics, it's like hundreds of years in the future, I believe.
Yeah.
Instead of
like 20, 30, 20, 40. Yeah.
15 or something like that. But we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not excited to see it.
I'll probably see it just because
we'll have to see it.
Patrick Stewart's in it.
It'll be fun to see.
And we'll probably talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
There it is. Check out the trailer if you haven't seen it yet.
Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer. So last week we recorded on Monday.
We did.
And the trailer came out on Thursday.
It did.
And while we were recording, they posted that they were going to announce the trailer on Thursday. Mm-hmm. So all we had last week was the Red Dead logo, just the red Rockstar logo, and then also the poster of the 7 people.
On their Twitter account.
So now we have, everywhere. But now we have the actual trailer.
Yeah.
So we watched it. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is releasing in fall 2017. It could be a prequel to Red Dead Redemption 1. Mm-hmm. Which took place in 1911 and dealt with the ending of the West, of how we know it, because he was having a lot of issues adapting to the future, or more modern times to him.
Yeah.
There's also announced that there's going to be PlayStation exclusivity with early access to select online features, which is something I did not expect to see.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I want to talk more, what do you think about the setting? What do you think is going to happen? A lot of people... I'll tell you what I really don't want to see. I don't want to see John Marston back.
Okay.
With somebody else. And because of that, I also don't want to see him with his gang before that. I also don't want to see... In GTA 5, you switch between 3 different characters, and that was fun. I had a lot of fun with that.
You don't want to see that in here?
Not necessarily. I want to be, one person.
Well, what I really liked about Red Dead Redemption 1, is that I felt really connected to the main character, and I think they told a very compelling story that I got wrapped up in. And I hope they do that again. I think, I understand where you're coming from with not John Marston. I would be okay with it being him, because I like him as a character, and I like to see where he progressed. But his big crisis was, am I this terrible person or not, in Red Dead Redemption 1. Right? So, does that mean that this first one, he's just going to be a terrible person? So, in terms of storytelling, I feel like I understand where you're coming from, where it should be something totally different.
But how would they... You already know how his story ends.
Right.
So now
so
you know how it begins.
Point?
You already know how it begins from the stories and what you know from the beginning. Or what you know from, the dialogue and what he talks about.
Right. So it would be... I'd be game for getting a new character. I would not be upset if it was John Marston, but at the same time, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't want it to be John Marston, because, again, we already know all we need to know about him. He's already a great character, and any more you add to that might bring him higher up, but really would it?
How much higher could you make him?
How much better can you make John Marston?
Right. It's is a sequel gonna be good? Right. It's like the whole sequel thing. Do we need a second movie for this? I don't know. And this isn't a movie, obviously, but I don't know. We'll see.
I just want it to be separate. There's some people I've heard talk about how they think it'll be in the Midwest, and I don't see that at all.
Yeah, no way.
First of all, nothing ever happens in the Midwest. Second of all, there's mountains in almost every scene of the trailer.
And have you seen the Midwest? It's flat.
Yeah.
Maybe a little hilly.
A little hilly. But yeah, so I'm thinking it'll be the south of the Rocky Mountains. Mm-hmm. So somewhere around there, maybe. It could be close to Mexico again. I don't know what time is going to take place is the thing. There's some... Well, I talked about... Red Dead Redemption 1, the original, the original of the two-parter. Yeah. Because don't forget, there's Red Dead Revolver. A lot of people forget about that. I have
not played that game.
But Red Dead Redemption 1 with John Marston takes place in 1911. So I think this will be a prequel, because there's not... 1911 is getting closer to modern times.
I mean, that's right before World War One.
Yeah, they did show right before World War One.
Right.
They did show a steam engine in this. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if they showed any cars or not. I just watched it. Any Model Ts, but there's bison, and those get extinct really early. There's some one of the websites I went to showed that they think it will take place as a prequel because some of the shop items in the general store started in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. So I just
1890s.
I want this to be complete. So Grand Theft Auto, I've always been completely different from each other. Mm-hmm. I want Red Dead to be completely different from each other. Yeah, we already have a great story with John Marston.
Yeah, give us another great story.
Give us another great story with somebody else.
Yeah,
and I think they'll do that because why?
Because Rockstar's done that already with other games.
Consistently.
So, I mean, Rockstar to me is one of those developers that is trustworthy. Like, I trust Blizzard with a lot of things. I trust Naughty Dog with a lot of things. I think I trust Rockstar too with not screwing up games. Not like Oopsiesoft, okay? All right, so like on the other side of the spectrum we have Ubisoft, which we lovingly call Oopsiesoft, where they screw up game releases and factory release games every year to make money and make a profit and be businessy and not necessarily care about the game play or all those mechanics. At the bottom end of the line, Ubisoft cares about profit and money, and Rockstar maybe they still care about that stuff, but it seems that they put out better product regularly.
Well, they do care about that stuff, but they also get that money, like...
They earn it with good quality.
They made a profit on GTA 5 the day it released.
Right.
Like, they made back all their money and then some. And then the day it released.
Right, and it's because they're known for quality, they're known for good stories, they're known for fun gameplay, and they've built up this reputation. So, I trust them.
You haven't played GTA 5?
I haven't. I've not... Actually, I've barely played GTA at all.
Show your face.
So, Red Dead Redemption 1?
So, I'll be talking to the audience here, because you have nothing to contribute to this.
I don't.
But GTA, obviously, people know GTA as GTA Online, GTA 5 Online. So you have the single-player campaign, which was fantastic, and I really liked that, and it was fun to go through these 3 different characters and see these stories and really experience Grand Theft Auto. Because it's one of the great... It's always revolutionary. They always do something revolutionary with Grand Theft Auto, and this time it was GTA Online. A living, breathing world where you're in this city with so many other people, and you can do interactive things, you can fight each other, do all this other stuff that you have never really been able to do in any other game before. But with that, I'm afraid, and some people are afraid, that they're going to focus too much with online play for Red Dead Redemption 2. And on the PlayStation exclusive website, essentially it was their blog post, they said there's going to be revolutionizing online multiplayer, and PlayStation has first access to that. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you're always going to be connected to Red Dead Redemption Online like you are on Watch Dogs, so someone can just hop in, hop out?
Yeah.
And other games like that as well. I don't want that. I want something to be separate. The greatest thing about GTA Online is that you have the city in single player, and online is exactly the same city. You just do that with friends, but it doesn't interact with the single player.
Yeah.
And you can go flawlessly almost from the single player to the multiplayer, just hit the start button, go to the online section, and it takes you into the online, and it makes you your own character.
Yeah.
The problem I have with GTA 5 Online is that if you don't keep up with it, eventually you lose ranks and you lose ranks and lose ranks. You don't lose ranks, but comparatively to other people. So I'm at like rank 50. Someone is at like rank 400.
Right.
And then they have access to tanks, and they have access to all the good guns and all the and then you just go in, and then
there's no parity between you and the other players.
And then you just die all the time. Yeah. Like, even if I went in and I just wanted to drive around and hang out, there could be someone just on the road with a tank, just killing everybody because they're having fun.
Right.
And you can change it. You can be in like safe mode or whatever it's called, passive mode, so where you can't fire and they can't hit you, and it's fine like that. But I don't know. It's also, I think it's important. You can actually comment on this. It's important to notice the difference in Red Dead between GTA 5, and maybe, although everybody wants a Red Dead Redemption game, what is that going to look like here in 2017, where it'll be a huge world, but the quickest way to get there is going to be on horseback.
Yeah.
Right? So there's going to be fast travel, fine, that's fine. But in GTA 5, you can get in a souped up Hot Wheel, and just go and drift around corners and go 120 miles an hour and whatever.
Right.
And the Western, clearly you're going to mosey from place to place.
Right, it's a lot less.
So if you went back and played Red Dead Redemption 1 right now, would you ever get tired of like, man, this takes forever for me to get to this place?
I mean, to some extent I was tired of it when we played it.
Yeah.
I liked the game because there were always like random events sometimes that they kind of like spiced up your trip to places. But I do remember, especially towards the end of the game, I was like trying to get some extra trophies, and I was like running around the entire map trying to do these things, and it is a lot. And I would expect this map to be bigger than Red Dead Redemption 1, just by the sake of hardware.
But you got to keep in mind, that the way Red Dead Redemption 1 starts is you start in New Mexico or whatever, and then you can only go to that area, and then you unlock Mexico.
Right.
But by the time you unlock Mexico, you've already done most of the stuff in New Mexico.
Right.
You go to Mexico, do all that, and then you open up the Great Plains. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 sections, and the Great Plains is rather small. Mm-hmm. I would say that New Mexico, I believe it's New Mexico, is the biggest of the sections, and that's where you start.
Right.
So if they split it up like that, that really is beneficial.
It makes it more digestible as a player. Mm-hmm. You can kind of chew your way through it.
But would Red Dead Redemption 2 need to be larger than Red Dead Redemption 1? Or does it need to be more dense?
Dense would be good.
But at the same time, it's a Western. So do you want it to be dense, or do you want it to feel...
It has to feel natural. It has to feel like a West game. And I think part of the West is just the great expanse of what it is, and it's like to some extent it's exploration, right? Like the whole pioneer spirit of going out west with a vast open landscape where you may not see anybody for a long time. And to some extent they need to capture that, but at the same time, this is a game. It needs to be fun and engaging, so you can't just have it to be realistically West, right? Because realistically West, you could spend weeks without seeing anybody.
Yes.
So I think my prediction is that it will be bigger than Red Dead Redemption 1. And I think it will be dense, but I think there'll be more variety in the things that you do, because I felt in Red Dead Redemption 1 it kind of got repetitive after, because there's bandits running away from guards, there's it's the same things, protect the damsel in distress, it was the same things over and over again, and at first it was really fun, but by the end of the game you're I'm just skipping all of them, because I'm I've already done that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get more variety with it, and hopefully they bring us new features and new things to get us excited about the game.
And hopefully that's more than just online connectivity.
Yeah, and I think it will be. I hope it is. I guess I don't have any evidence for that.
They've been releasing GTA Online DLC almost since day one. Mm-hmm. They haven't released any single player DLC for GTA 5.
Really?
Yeah. So they've gone from...
They committed to that.
They committed to GTA Online. And they even said, one of the guys at a press conference said that GTA 5 Online will go forever until they kill it. They said they will have to intentionally kill the game to get something else out, because otherwise people will just keep playing that game. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have to, I don't know if so much shut down the servers, but shut down maybe access to some certain things. So that way people will actually go on to do something else, because people are so addicted to that. Because that's... If you play games, if you're a streamer or whatever, you play Call of Duty, you play Hearthstone, you play Counter-Strike, you play GTA Online.
Yep.
That's what you do. So they went on record and said, we're going to have to kill this game. Because otherwise it'll be a living, breathing thing by itself.
And they can't devote resources to it for that long, probably, because they have limited amounts of team members and things.
So do you think they're going to continue calling this Red Dead Redemption 2? Or do you think they're come out with a new name?
Probably keep it as Red Dead Redemption 2. Just because, GTA is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Yeah. So I could see how they could try and make this into the same sort of franchise. Because, you said Red Dead Revolver was, the first Red Dead that Rockstar made. I've never played it, never even heard of it, really. I've heard of it. I've seen it at the store before, but... I didn't know how popular it even was. So, I would say this is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2 and stay that way.
Now, assuming that this game comes out and it's everything you want it to be, you give it a perfect score, you give it a $60, well, you give it a $75.
So it's worth more,
worth more than what you paid.
Yeah.
That's our rating system.
Yep.
Would you want to see a Red Dead Redemption 3? Do you want them to keep continuing this franchise, or do you think they're going to oversaturate the market with Western games?
No, I don't think they will, because think of how long it's been since Red Dead Redemption 1 came out.
Yeah.
And if they keep... And that's the thing I like about some companies, is they're able to wait until that perfect time to release the next one. Where it's because obviously Call of Duty, oversaturated. Shooters, isn't a lot of shooter games, just saturated. Assassin's Creed... oversaturated. Yes. At least they're starting to pull away from that now, because they've realized that they
come out with the movies.
Yeah.
And a collection.
Yeah, it's oversaturated.
They're doubling down.
I think of I'm trying to think of something. Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls has a nice cycle of releasing major installments where it's like it's a significant, it's like a one per generation almost.
Do you think?
And I like that aspect of it. It's like same thing with Fallout. It's like one Fallout free. Okay, without New Vegas. New Vegas screwed that up, but
New Vegas notwithstanding.
Yeah, New Vegas notwithstanding. I like the whole like generation approach because what you do with that is you take the basic elements of the franchise that people love, you bring it to a new generation with new hardware, with new features, and new ways to be able to like have people experience that story. And you can leave such a good mark if you take it as an end-all, be-all, this is the game for 10 years. Like, this is the only one that's coming out. And so you make a really good story that wraps up by the end, and people leave with a really good experience. And that's what I want. That's what I want out of gaming franchises, but we get so much of the same thing rehashed year after year after year after year.
Well, you want to have the first without the second. You wouldn't have a great Western game if it wasn't so many games coming out every single year that were the same. Because otherwise, I mean, what's going to happen to the game industry? Like, if there's not a Call of Duty every year,
right? How
are we going to get new people to play video games? How are we going to get people funding for Red Dead Redemption 2 for Rockstar?
I mean, Red Dead doesn't get any funding from
Red Dead stands, but because there's people in this industry now, there's buyers, there's consumers,
right?
And there's consumers more and more every year because there's new games that come out,
right? Well, I would hope in an ideal world, to me, there would be more game producers all producing gems, right? Instead of getting like Call of Duty rehash, new graphics, whoosh, actually same graphics, just like slight new guns, new maps, except for Nuketown. It'll be on every map, every time, right? So they throw the same thing out now, and obviously it works. I'm not saying that it doesn't work and consumers don't eat it up, because Call of Duty, we know, has been super successful over the years. But I think in an ideal world, we would just get a bigger variety of games, and we would get higher quality games more consistently. Because they're like, think of all those games that you go to the store that come out that are just crap. Like, nobody buys. They end up being like $17, $15. What if those are good? Man, think about how many good games we'd have. Like, I'd rather have too many. Like, right now I have too many games, so maybe they already are accomplishing it, but I wish there were like too many good games.
I think we're in a place right now where we are, and I don't think you're looking. Well, I think you're looking, because I don't agree with what you're saying.
You don't agree that you would rather have...
No, I think there needs to be bad games to balance out the good games. Otherwise, we're going to have a standard where everything's...
really good.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, okay. So it's like Marvel movies, right? Every Marvel movie is like fantastic. Just on a basis, it's fantastic. But if I say what's the worst Marvel movie, you're like, Ant-Man, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3.
So you're saying there has to be like bad food for you to enjoy good food?
Yeah.
I disagree.
What if you had your favorite food every single day for a month?
I already do that. That's why I'm fat. Pizza.
You have pizza every day, and you're like...
I've done it before.
And now you're like, this is awesome? Or you're like, maybe I should cut back?
I mean, I guess I'm not going to waste money on a bad game.
I don't even think that Call of Duty and Battlefield are bad games.
And I'm not necessarily saying they're always bad. I'm saying they're oversaturated.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think there's also a lot of other games. And I think just because Call of Duty and Battlefield and games like that garner so much attention, that these other great games don't pay attention. I've given you games to play that are fantastic, and you're like, nah, I'll rather play Eve for the next 12 years.
Well, it's because I like Eve better than those games. Like Heavy Rain. You keep preaching Heavy Rain, man. I can't play it. I don't like it. It's too slow. I tried.
You played it for like 2 hours.
Yeah, I played for 2 hours and nothing was exciting.
The kid died!
So?
That's exciting.
Now, if you want to make a kid dying exciting, play The Last of Us. Oh my gosh. That soldier shot her in the stomach. I don't know. I would rather have really good games. I'd rather them be innovating all the time and making really great things than getting a bunch of crap games.
Well, how are you going to innovate unless you take a chance?
Right.
No, you can't... There's games now that take chances and they don't pan out, but then other companies see them and they're like, oh, okay, I like what you did there, I'm going to expand on it. And then that first game is bad, but then it enhances the quality of another game because people worked on that and then they go on to work on another game, or they do this and they do that. You can't have every single game come out and be a masterpiece, because how is that going to work? What builds it up to a masterpiece? Then you start comparing a masterpiece to another masterpiece, and they can't all be masterpieces.
Right, not everything can be masterpieces, obviously. But I would rather not be satisfied with mediocrity. I'd rather have really good games and continually pressing forward and making even better games, trying new things, being more risky because there's so many good games.
I think
and we get the same thing hashed out over and over and over again with so many franchises.
Right now.
Huh?
I think we're doing that right now.
I don't, but not maybe in some market. I don't feel like we are. Like, this is just the same. Like Pokemon, same game over and over again, slight little differences.
Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
I mean, they change it up all the time.
They change some things about it, but it's the same thing. Like,
what about Final Fantasy? So Final Fantasy 15 is completely different from Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 13, the one you have played, that's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? I mean, there's innovation there.
Yeah.
There has to be. But if you don't want the innovation, go to Dragon Quest, which is a standard JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
There's always options. I think people are just. I think we're in a situation right now where we have these games, and there are fantastic games out there, and there's really great games, but people choose to not purchase them, choose to not support that.
Well,
so I can name like 6 fantastic games that have on PS3 or on PS4 that most people or some people might not have played, and they're innovating and they're doing these things, and they get these ideas from other companies that have worse games. Okay. And you need those companies with the worst games to go out, show what they can do, and then someone else needs to think, I can do that better.
Okay.
I'm going to make a better game. So you need the bad games to make good games.
I don't know.
Not everybody can just make a great game. How is that going to work?
I'm not saying that every single game is going to be perfect. I wish that the overall quality, we weren't getting the same thing rehashed over and over again, like Call of Duty. But it works, so it's going to keep happening.
What's the problem with Call of Duty?
I don't know. Just the formula hasn't changed. And
the formula has changed a lot in Call of Duty.
I guess with this most recent one, it has.
With the most recent 3 years of Call of Duty. So Call of Duty Ghosts came out in 2014, maybe, and that was the most recent one where there wasn't jetpacks. And now there's jetpacks, and so that's different, and that's innovation.
Is it innovation though? Destiny did it first, and Halo did it before then.
What? What Halo had jetpacks other than the most recent one?
Okay, maybe not jetpacks, but I'm thinking like, I don't know, like the original Call of Duty is, to me, like World War II, like running around fighting. There are no classes. Obviously, they brought classes in, and that's probably Call of Duty's greatest innovation to shooters is like
a class-based system.
The class-based system, and you unlock things, and it's like fun like that, and that's cool, and they did a good job with that. But since then, like, what's been new? Well, now they added, like, abilities and things, which they're not the first one to do that. Right?
So?
Advanced Warfare. So, I don't know. It's not innovation to me. I don't know. It's like the same.
They're literally changing the way the game's played. How is that? What's your definition of innovation?
Something new. They're taking it from like you keep talking about, there has to be a bad game with a feature that might be good, and then a good game franchise picks it up and then makes it good. Right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's literally how technology works.
Right. Well, to some extent, right? But you can't take a bad feature from a game and then try and make it good if it's a bad feature in and of itself that makes a bad game. Right? Not like every bad game is... What bad
feature are we talking about?
Like I don't know, I'm just thinking generally. There are like so many games that suck and there's nothing redeeming about them. I think they're a drag on the market. I don't think they're good. Not every bad game is innovative at all.
Can you name one so I'm on the same page?
I have to look it up. We could go to GameStop and I could point them out to you.
Well, yeah, of course there's going to be bad games that don't do anything, but there's also going to be good games that haven't really changed the formula at all. Like if you keep Uncharted collection, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, 4, they're really not that different, but they're still fantastic games. Like how are they innovating things? Or The Last of Us.
Right.
How did The Last of Us innovate?
I don't know.
What did The Last of Us do that was different? It's still fantastic.
True. Well, maybe innovation isn't the only thing that matters.
And I still think, although I dislike Call of Duty and what it's came to be, I still think Call of Duty and Battlefield are still fantastic games. I think there's a great story to them. I think the multiplayer is fluid and it's understandable. And it's very easy to hop in, and I think it does what it wants to do. It does very well. But again, we're also arguing about something that's objective. Or subjective,
right? Like,
what you think is great versus what other people think is great.
And
someone's favorite game could be Call of Duty, while yours is Eve.
Right.
And you're saying I want more games that have the same impact on you that Eve had, where somebody else is saying, I want more games that had the same impact on me as Call of Duty had.
Perhaps that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. We've gone all over the place with this argument. If it's really an argument, I mean, I feel like games are like probably as good as they've ever been before, if not better. Right? We have more game franchises, more esports, more exposure. We have Twitch. Like we have like we're at a really good place. I just would want to see. I don't know. I just want us to even be better.
I think we're getting there.
Yeah, sure. We are. We're moving forward.
But I also think you need the stepping stones to get there.
True.
You can't just make giant leaps in technology without a couple steps first. Without starter steps, you can't make a giant leap. You ever ask a high jump to just stand still and jump over the bar? No, you got to run from the end of the court. And
what about standing long jump? That's a sport.
Yeah, but who can jump highest and farthest?
Rockstar.
Someone that... Okay.
Naughty Dog.
All right, on to something else.
On to something with a little more substance.
There's a large DDoS attack on Friday.
Oh my gosh, that was the most annoying thing ever.
Taking out popular services like Netflix, Etsy, Reddit, Twitter, and the PSN, one of the largest DDoS attacks on the US and Europe happened on Friday, October 21st. Also affected was Amazon Web Service, which is used by over 1 million companies, including GE, News Corp, and Capital One. As far as I can tell, no responsibility has been claimed, but the White House and Department of Homeland Security is looking into it. Could be Poodle Corp, Lizard Squad, or even Russia. However, Poodle Corp did say in September that they would be taking down the Battlefield 1 servers on October 21st. However, this was much larger than just that.
This was much larger, and I know Lizard Squad, didn't we talk about that last week? Some members of Lizard Squad got arrested.
Yeah, but just 2 of them. I don't know how big Lizard Squad is, but I assume 2 wouldn't be that big of a thing.
Right. Well, I just, in retaliation to that, they may have, attacked. Maybe. I don't know. It was really annoying. I experienced it. I was, trying to log into EVE online, and it was down, and I was like, this is weird. Yeah. So then I got on Twitter, and I tried to get on Netflix, I tried to get on Spotify, and all those things weren't working. I was like, what the heck? And then I found on, some news website that's for video games, like Digital Trends or something like that, that, oh my gosh, half the internet is down right now. Most of the major websites that people visit are down. Not all of them. Facebook was still up, and some other ones. But either way, this is huge. This is a huge attack. And it makes me, I've always thought, and I kind of understand, nothing really is safe online. Nothing ever is truly safe. There's always a way to get around security features. Just think about, I just think of, my high schoolers and our tech department, and every time they do some sort of safety thing or, security thing, oh, you guys can get on these games, they always find a way around it. There's always a way around things. This is the nature of coding and programming, is that there is always a way around it. And so it's just, makes me feel a little bit unnerved that so many... internet giants got taken down. I
think it all has to do with Amazon Web Service. So many things use that.
Yeah. It's all one. They took down one service. They did the denial of service attack. And did you tell me how they did it? Somebody told me how they did it. I think it was Argyle Arsonist, Rich. He said...
R.D. Learson?
Yeah, the group that did it, they, were able to get on the, security systems have, cameras... but they're connected to the internet, and they threw a script out there that made every home camera, security camera, request constantly something of the server. And so they had millions of these cameras all starting to do these requests, and so that did the denial of services. They just, because it was unsecure, the way you could connect to it.
Not my fault, I don't have a webcam.
Not mine either, but...
there's one on my laptop, but it's not turned on.
Well, it's those home security ones that you can log on with your phone and things, and see your house. They use those to all request constantly.
That's so weird.
I know, it's such a weird way to do it, but that's totally how hackers do things.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
So that's the story I heard from a friend. I haven't read anything about it.
There was some, so obviously game things, I couldn't play Overwatch, I couldn't play, the Call of Duty open beta was started, and I was trying to watch somebody stream, but he couldn't get on. I read an article about this, and people were mad. One, because they're in DDoS, but also because hacking groups like Anonymous is trying to take down ISIS.
Right.
But Poodle Corp and Lizard Squad are now you guys can't play video games.
Right. What's the point?
Do something useful. You have clearly you have
some skills,
and you can do things that can help people. And instead, you're just nah, you guys need to go outside.
Right, and that's what I thought too. I was talking to my friend about that too. I was Why don't they do good things?
Yeah.
Like, why can't they be like white knight hackers? Like those good guys who like figure out security stuff and...
Edward Snowden?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Is he a good guy? It's kind of up in the air.
Or the other guy recently? Assange?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know him.
I wasn't paying attention.
Either way, that's interesting. If you experienced it too and it was annoying, I'm sorry. If I could stop it, I would have.
Yes.
But my powers are limited.
That's true. On to the next.
What's
Voice
up next?
actors going on strike. Surprising to me. I didn't know this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Very surprising to you. You had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, I didn't know this.
But on October 21st, 2016, the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, or SAG-AFTRA, or SAG-AFTRA, which I'll just call SAG-AFTRA, has gone on strike after nearly 2 years of negotiations with video game companies. SAG-AFTRA is a union consisting of about 25% of all voice actors in video games. The strike is set to target large video game companies such as Activision, Disney Character Voices, EA, Insomniac, Take-Two, and Warner Brothers Games. Union workers have gone on strike against any game that was started after February 17, 2015. Anything before that was protected under a no-strike clause. During negotiations, SAG-AFTRA was looking for pay increases from $100 per hour to around $200 per hour.
Oh, double.
No more than 2 continuous hours of vocally stressful recordings. I assume that means like screaming and pretending like you're dead.
Right.
A lack of secrecy from gaming companies. Some actors have complained that they don't know what roles or games they're even auditioning for. And an increase in overall pay based on specific sales figures of games. The union workers would like to receive an additional full-scale payments for every 500,000 copies of games sold, maxing out at 4 payments once it hits 2 million copies sold. Video game companies offered a 9% wage to counter this. Video game companies offered a 9% wage increase and a maximum of $950 per game based on number of voice acting sessions. This can equate up to 23% increase in wages for some actors. Gaming companies are also requesting the ability to fine against SAG-AFTRA if there is not an agent representing the union worker during auditions. Fines can range to tens of thousands of dollars. They also want the ability to fine the actors themselves $1,000 if they do not show up on time or not fully invested in the voice work. I think that means if they're hungover.
Right, probably.
There's a picket scheduled on Monday, October 24th at EA's California offices. Now, if you ever thought about a picket, there's a lot of people down there, a lot of people yelling.
Yeah.
Think about that with voice actors.
A lot of people, the most beautiful picket line ever.
A lot of people down there yelling a whole bunch of... So if you can't see it, you just hear it, you're like, there's like 1,000 people out there. I hear so many different voices. And you look out, it's like 3 different people. You're like, what?
That's the most impressive picket I've ever seen, I've ever heard.
So this is big news.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Most upcoming games.
I mean, 25% of the whole base of voice actors. I don't know how much of an effect that had. I mean, that's a pretty big group, but...
In every report I've seen, they've mentioned 3 different people. One was the voice actor of Batman and a guy from Assassin's Creed. One is a woman. She's a voice actor for Mass Effect and Guild Wars. Another one is for another game I can't remember.
Yeah.
But there's also 75% of other people out there to do things. So the strike can help and hurt, as most strikes do. I don't think there's going to be any scabs, any people that quit the union to go work. That's a scab.
Right, yeah.
You quit a union to go work because you need money.
Undercuts your union.
But this also might bring in a lot of new voice talent.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if they have enough market control to be able to effectively do anything. What this probably will do, I mean, they now take themselves out of the workforce. There's now a shortage of voice actors. The price then, assuming that it works on supply and demand, means the price of voice actors just went up because there's a shortage. So all the ones that aren't striking are going to go get paid more because these guys are taking themselves out. Now, I don't know if that market only works strictly off of labor or off of supply and demand because a lot of times it's more complicated than that with like regulation and things. But that's interesting. I don't know what effect that will have. Like 25%, I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning that most games that you know about already were started before February 17th, 2015. Yeah. So they'll still be coming out. It's the games you haven't been announced yet.
So these are like long-term, like the effect is
kind of long-term. This could affect like the next Battlefield game or Battlefront game. Battlefield game. Maybe even the next Call of Duty, because they do that on a 3-year cycle. So maybe not this upcoming Call of Duty, but years after that.
Yeah.
Big Destiny would obviously not be affected because they've been working on Destiny 2 for so long. Red Dead Redemption, obviously, they've been working on that for like 5 years.
Right, they're probably getting close to the end of the major stuff.
Big game that might be affected would be Elder Scrolls 6, because they have gone on record and said they have not started that yet.
Right, so they're going to be looking for voice actors for that.
I can't think of anything else. The Spider-Man game, I assume, has been in... Well, I don't know. I would assume it would have been in development since 2015, but they've also stated that it's still kind of fresh. Yeah. So we'll see things like that. This will be interesting. If you remember, there was a writer's strike in television, and it really affected, like... So most seasons, episodes are like 24 episodes long, and this affected like a lot of them to like 18 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, and the quality wasn't as good, too, for a lot of them.
So... This could be very impactful on the future of video games.
Yeah, I think
assuming that the 25% is big enough.
Is a big enough force to make an impact. You know, I think it's really going to be hard to see the impact of this right now. Like looking forward, I mean, it can obviously have an effect. It'll be interesting to see.
It might affect future
projects and things.
So like the Arkham series, the guy that does Batman has done the same Batman for all of them.
Right.
So maybe you'll have a different voice of Batman in the future games. But as far as I know, they haven't really announced any future games for Batman. But again, these would be games that haven't quite been announced yet. If they've only been in development for 2 years, almost 2 years, you're not ready to announce a game like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I don't know. Interesting. There it is.
Also, they want full payment up to 4 times the amount for a game. That's a lot.
So their demands are pretty like double pay.
Essentially, I don't think that's for everybody, but that's for some people. They want to go from First of all, $100 an hour is a lot.
Yeah, it is. To $200.
That's crazy.
Like I don't make that, and I wish I did.
Obviously, most people don't.
Most people don't make that much.
But how do you how does that affect? Is the people in this union only like big voice actors, or how does that affect like someone that does a couple lines?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to know. Like, how do you quantify their impact on the game? Are these like major voice actors get $100 an hour?
Yeah.
Like the main characters' games.
I assume it's anybody in the union gets that payment.
Right. That's what I would expect.
But so like if there's a Batman and he's putting out a lot of lines, obviously for like an Arkham City.
So he's getting lots.
But there's also like a thug that has a couple lines.
Hey, get over here.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And maybe he doesn't work an hour.
Yeah.
But if that game sells 2 million copies, he gets paid 4 times.
Yeah.
And there's already some things like that.
Well, I know some like actors of movies, depending. I mean, it's all in the negotiation of the contract.
Yeah.
Some of them get paid based on the success of the movie too. So like Harrison Ford did for Episode 7. I remember that in his contract, which he was the most highest paid actor in that movie.
That's a good one.
He also got paid on the success of the movie too. So like by the numbers.
It gotta be like at his age. What are you gonna do with all that money?
I don't know. Give it to charity when he dies. I don't know.
Maybe buy some Cubans.
Probably. Oh, Harrison Ford? Duh. Probably buying a new plane after he crashes the other one.
Crashes them all the time.
So anyway, that seems like be pretty big demands.
So the big difference between the two is that the union wants to be paid after the game is released, and the video game companies offered payment up front. A big component of getting paid after the game is released is that way the voice actors get paychecks and can like help feed the families after the game between work.
Yeah.
But
I think that makes sense too, because voice acting, I'm assuming you're not working 40 hours a week. You're probably doing a lot of auditions all the time, and then maybe getting a couple roles here and there. So maybe there's some weeks that you have like really busy schedule, and then there's some weeks you may not have any games that you're working on. Maybe you're just looking at auditions. So, and I know it could probably be intense too, like the vocally stressful part. Like, yeah, I could see how that could be like legit.
There was one recorded incident where somebody hurt themselves from
their voice.
Yeah. So that's just one.
One's not bad, but it's just really tiring. I understand. But at the same time, I think that might be a little bit asking a little bit too much. Like a 9% wage increase is pretty nice. And then 23% increase for some actors. Like, that's a pretty big increase. That's more than my increases every year. But obviously, it's not fair to compare my job to their job.
But you're a voice actor right now.
I am a voice actor right now. And I get paid nothing because we're underpaid gamers.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Anyway.
Do you want to move on?
So that picket would be very interesting.
It would be fun.
All right. On to the thing that you researched because I said do this.
Yep. I came in and I said, hey, what do you want me to research? And you're like, do this because I don't know anything about this. So I was like, all right. So
the big ol'
Nintendo
Switch.
So Nintendo
NX
was what this was called for so long. This project of the new console.